Hello everyone and happy weekend to you. And boy, are we like going through November already? We're definitely right dab in the middle of it. And I'm very excited. You're going to hear his name considerably more often because him and I are really working together to educate you, feel good about moving. I'm not talking about gym, just moving. And if you love the gym, that's good too. But you're going to hear his name more and more often. I want you to really get to know him and understand what he does. And you can go on his website too. But please, Coach Rex, introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. I mean, not original. We can tell us originally where you're from too if you want to. But your website, what you do. So this way, we're going to really talk about a lot of wonderful things today.
Yes, well, Nadia, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, I've been working with athletes. Originally, I was in the physical therapy field for about a year and a half, and then I got out and started working with athletes, training athletes. And then recently, probably the last 5 to 6 years, started to look at athletes who really started to have issues after their playing career. They would go down quickly. They're in great shape, everything like that, but then all of a sudden they'd have this out of shape. They would lose that. So I started to work with athletes who, had just finished up to keep them on the right path. And then it started, to develop into people who had injuries, strokes, spinal cord injuries and stuff. So that's what I really started to get into now, getting them to come back from those injuries. A lot of people don't think they can, but trying to get their mind right, trying to get their body right, and trying to get them back. And it's crazy because my manager and I were just over working with somebody who was told they would never stand again, or with their left side. And we had them up, we had them standing, we had them, I shouldn't say we, he's actually standing now, he's actually moving his arm, all this kind of stuff. So it's just amazing when you see those kind of things. So that's what I'm really passionate about. Still helping the athletes out, love working with athletes, but love helping people have better longevity, but doing it the right way.
Absolutely.
Doing it the natural way, the way God intended it to.
See, and that's the important part. I think we hit it off really well. I mean, we know each other for a long time, but our mutual friend Tom Russell that we did a video with, and I'm gonna have to somehow post that. It will be on YouTube, but also on Facebook, and you can go to my Trimline Facebook, or you have a Facebook also, right?
Correct.
Or
right. Dave Bricks is where I do it myself.
And you do a lot of them, so they can actually send you a friend request, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and it's BRIXIUS.
Correct.
I had it. I knew it. Excellent. So you can go on there. A lot of informative videos, like tremendous, and that's what I really do, that information aspect. So when you're listening out there, the show today is going to honestly be about knowledge, right? And we're aging. I don't care if you're 20 years old, you're listening, or 40 years old, you're 70 years old. We're all aging. Nobody's getting younger, but we're all aging. And like you said one time, you said there's a difference between your numerical age and then what was the other? Biological age, right? Yes. So your biological age. So we're all going to talk, and even though he works with a lot of athletes, and a lot of athletes are young, but you're only working with older people too. What we're going to talk about is honestly how we can be stronger as we get older. That's very, very important. Like if you are 40, 50, 60 years old, 70 or 80, whatever, if you cannot on your own open up a jar, or you cannot pick up something easily, or you can't, easily get out of your chair, or like you have to understand that these are all huge signs that, or balance. I was watching a video last night when I was trying to fall asleep. I don't know if you noticed or not, but we women have a very difficult time falling asleep. So as I was trying to fall asleep, which every man's like, why do you try? Why don't you just fall asleep? I'm like, well, thanks for that. I had never thought of doing that, but we women we struggle to fall asleep. Our brains are like, 16, I don't know, like loose wires, they're just touching each other, and they're, it's just, and I don't even know much about cars, but I can understand loose wires everywhere. That's not a good thing. So that's our mind is like that when we're about to go to sleep. But I watched this video, and it was about balance, like if you can't balance on one foot to, let's say you put your socks on, then balance and keep that balance on the one foot to then put your shoes on. They were saying that is really another determination of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Correct. I mean, the correlation between balance and how the body, the neurological issues come into play. And that's what I'm trying to work on really lately in the last 6 months to a year. I really started getting into how to train the nervous system, because everybody just thinks, well, it's the nervous system. But there's a way to train it actually to keep it fresh and to keep it fast. And that's what happens as we age. So I had an athlete that I was working with. He was doing a lot of the heavier lifting, which I'm not against, but he was doing the heavy lifting. but he got a little bit slower. His reactions were just a tad off compared because he wants to play professional football. We changed his workout routine up. I got a hold of him. Last 3 months we've been working on it. His reaction time is unreal. So I started doing it with some of my older adults who definitely, you know, as soon as their playing career was done, we started training it now because they noticed, hey, my reactions are off. I'm not quite as fast. I'm not quite as this. They are now like, Dave, my reaction time is so much better. And their balance correlated with that. So now their balance is better. And we all know when I worked in therapy 20-some years ago, the number one thing with most people was when they fall as they age, the fall wasn't the thing that killed them. It was actually the inactivity because all they did was lay around then. So that's one of the worst things to have happen to you. You lose your balance and then you break your hip or something else.
And the thing is, it's like, you know, unfortunately, the world's in a way that we're not doing a lot of activity, right? So if somebody like goes to grocery store shopping or, I don't know, go up their steps on their second floor, I mean, those are not bad things. I'm not saying those are bad, but it's not enough, you know? So you and then your body gets used to the same thing. So if you regularly on a daily basis, you used to walk to work, come back to work, I'm just making that up, right? Your body gets used to that after a while. Like if you're doing a 45-minute walk outside, that's really good, half an hour, 45 minutes. But I think at some point you can do like a little bit of a brisk walk and then slow it down a little bit. Like there's got to be some changes to it to really be able to see some differences.
Correct, 100%. There's a strength coach that I know very well. He lives in Minnesota. And he said, you know, one of the hardest things, if you really want to get in shape, it's not just sprinting. Because it's all about, you know, we were talking about athletes. He said, it's not just sprinting. He said, have them do back pedals, have them do side shovels, because they're not normally in most people's routine.
Correct.
Exactly. And he goes, you watch the difference in how fast they actually, not fast, but how much better shape they're in.
That they're running sideways, shuffling, or,
Yes.
you know, I mean, I can skip, I can skip. Skipping is really fun, I think, you know, you instantly feel like a child, you know, you're like, your head moves. And this is radio. If anybody could ever watch us here, which I know you're recording me, by the way, but I'm a very handsy, head-moving type of person. But I think part of it is getting back to our childhood things that we used to do. But, you know, when you're 40, and I'm going to say 40 and older, but obviously 30 and older, you have to see how strong you are, number one, and how mobile you are, and how much balance you have. And if you're listening out there and you're like, oh, geez, I don't know, I don't think I'm that strong, I don't think my balance is great, and you don't even try. Let's say you know that you're a sedentary person, as the old, what they would say, like a couch potato, right? But don't think like you're going to church or coming back to church or same routines that you're doing, any kind of walking or getting out of bed and going down a few steps, that's going to cut. That's not what it's going to do it. You're going to have to really challenge your brain, and that's where the neurons and your nervous system comes into place. Because even, I've said this, like I brush my teeth with my right hand because I'm right-handed, right? And then I read you can brush your teeth with your left hand. Let me tell you, it is a mess, okay? But I try to do it. And I probably like one time jabbed my gum. But so the thing is like, I do try to do it. And I'm not making that motion. Oh my gosh, I've seen 10 million bad reels of TV people that do that motion. I brush my teeth with my left hand. I'm not using my hand right now. So to them, because it tells you, triggers a different part of your brain to do it.
Yes, it's huge. I changed I brush my teeth with my left. I started this about 8 months ago. Now it's much more smooth. Like you said, when I first started, it was horrible. But it's also a cognitive thing. This is where we have to start putting things together. And this is what we're not. We try to separate everything. So we have to go to this doctor for my foot.
Yeah.
We got to go to this doctor for my hand. Your body's all connected. So you have to figure out what is going on. Yes, there are specialists. I'm not against that. But what I'm saying is we have isolated so much, even in the strength field. The bodybuilding profession has isolated everything, and that's what everybody perceives how you're supposed to work out. The problem is that's not how the human body is designed. Most bodybuilders cannot run. They can't.
That's so true.
They can't. They're so stiff. They're so out of it. What they do is what they do, which is fine. But if you want to be an athlete, you have to train like an athlete, and we're all athletes. I tell this from the second you're born to the second you die. We're all athletes. Some play sports. Some are done with the sports, but we're still athletes. You have to train to be an athlete, and that's what people are missing. And that whole doing the opposite is so huge of what you normally do, because that puts you back in balance. Now, granted, you're always going to have one side that's more dominant, but you still got to do things with the opposite hand because it cognitively works the brain.
Exactly, other side of your brain. And you know, by athlete, and again, I know a lot of people out there that don't work out. They're like, oh gosh, I can't even barely do this, rather than be an athlete. We're not saying athlete. The actual definition of an athlete is it's really for you to be more mobile.
Yes.
Mobile, balanced, and muscle strength. And we're going to come back and talk about all those things and how you can easily do it and test yourself. You need to test yourself. If you don't test yourself, your head is in the sand and you think you're okay, but you're not okay. So you can go to mytrimline.com and, you know, get some information. And you can also go to your website. What's your website?
EXSP.biz.
.exsp.biz.
You got it.
That's a tongue twister for me, okay? We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. I gotta write that down. Hello and happy Sunday to everybody. And oh my goodness, you know what? Even on the break, we're having fun. And I hope you get to listen to this. I have the wonderful Coach Brex here. And thank you so much for, again, taking another Sunday. But you're going to get to know his name considerably more and what he does, because him and I are really now in the business of, or we've been doing it individually, educating people. But I also want you to know, if you're part of a whatever company, business, office, doctor's office, we actually do seminars. We do seminars of education, right? It could be lunch seminars. You can talk to your HR, connect us to your HR, go to mytrimline.com or email me at Nadia@mytrimline. Reach out in any which way you want to do it. And if you're like, hey, we'd love to have some, you know, educational lunch, you know, learn, you know, whether it's for your HR, whether it's for your health benefits, whatever. There's like a million of things. Or you just want to be educated on certain things. We'll come out and talk. We do public speaking all the time. You know, last one I did was over 300 people for this company that you know wanted their, you know, they had a health day, right? And they had a bunch of different speakers, and I was one of them. So we would really love to do that. And you've done plenty of them, right,
Yes.
Coach?
Yes.
Yeah. You really do educate people constantly. I wish I could like video myself or record myself, whatever. I age myself consistently, but record myself and do that a lot on Facebook. But you know, we women are very different you men. We'll take like 16 billion videos of ourselves and we'll pick one finally that we like. And by the time I'm done doing that, like 45 minutes has passed and I'm already bored with it. So I'm like, forget this. This is, my hair's not right, you know, my look doesn't look good, I see that wrinkle. That's how we women are. You don't know. We're a little crazy in our head, you know. But we are, and every woman out there, if you're listening, if you're like, Nadia, I'm not like that, please, I want you to reach out to me. I want to know who you are, because you're lying to yourself, darn it. You're lying to yourself. That's what I say. So I see you read an article, right? Didn't you? Please share that, because you said it on the break, and I really like that. So
the push-up article. So the thing is that only 1% of the population of the world can do 50 straight push-ups. Now I'm talking about good push-ups. Now not just any kind of
on
push-ups.
your knee.
You can't do it on your knees. You can't do
Correct.
that. Really full, all the way down, all the way up, 50 straight. And people think, oh, that's easy. I'm telling you.
Nobody thinks that easy.
Well,
you know what?
trust me, there are people that tell me.
Most
No.
normal, no, I don't say normal. Okay, the average person, okay, and I work with a lot of, you know, I do weight loss and nutrition, obviously, and most of my clients are 45 and older, right? And most of my clients don't work out, okay? Probably over 98% don't work out, okay? Which, it's not that I don't want them to, they just don't want to do it. They hate it, they don't like it, which we know nutrition is the key to losing weight and all that good stuff, because your relationship with food, we talked about this a million times. But most, I think, listeners out there, and I'm telling you this, because you're in the industry of working with athletes or people who do naturally work out, because if they didn't naturally work out, they wouldn't be coming to you. That's what you own, okay? So they won't be coming to you. They're not going to come to you and get a slice of pizza from you, okay? They're coming, oh, I wonder why I thought of pizza. Yeah, or keep laughing over there, okay? Yeah, exactly, okay? So honestly, it just came to my mind. But that's who comes to you. They want to work out. There are, so naturally you're dealing with a lot of people that's what they do, physical activity. But the average person out there, and over 98% of people that I work with, they can't even imagine doing 3 push-ups, okay, and even correctly, let alone like 50. That's like in my mind, and you know, I told you I try to do push-ups, and I hope I'm doing it right. I think the most I did was 25 one time. I know. I try to challenge myself consistently, and you know, and I'm no spring chicken.
Hey, I got an idea. We'll have a challenge online, you and Tom.
Oh my God!
Tom Russell and you.
Oh no!
There we go. That's what we're gonna do.
Did you post that video? By the way, the video that we did with us
I'm working
hanging.
on that. Yes.
Oh my God. So we did a video a couple of weeks ago with Tom Russell, and he's our favorite weatherman, right? He's our favorite weatherman with the weather weenies, right? Is that what they're called? Perfect. The dogs, by the way. So we did it. You guys, if you want to go, you're gonna see it on YouTube. We're gonna post it. You're gonna see it on Facebook at My Trim Line, and on yours, Dave Brux's. Please just send a friend request to him, because you'll see the most amazing video. But if you know Tom Russell, he's obviously for 580, right? Yeah. Yeah. And CBS 21, thank you. So everybody knows him. He does a lot of wonderful charities in the area, and we did a video of the hanging test. It was for your grip strength, right? If you have grip strength, you have brain strength. So dementia, everything about your body. And so if they say 2 minutes for men and 90 seconds for women.
Right.
And and we had a video before that, which was pretty funny. But he did. I don't think he want to do a push up with me. I'm just telling you. I think the end of this point is that he will not want to do a push up with
Probably
me.
not after what happened in the hang. But people got to go see it. We won't tell you who won.
Oh,
we got to hold on.
I think they already know. But I'm just saying, if he doesn't want to do a push up with me, I gave it away, right? But what he said afterwards, I think, was the most hilarious. I want to make that into a meme, what he said afterwards. So please go, again, Dave, BRIXIUS, send him a friend request. Mine is Nadia Sharifi. Send me a friend request. We love for you guys to see these wonderful, educational, amazing videos. But, you listening out there, you want to educate anybody that you know, whether it's your firm, your company, your little salon, your big salon, your doctor's office. Just you can email me, Nadia, at mytrimline.com, and say, listen, can you come out and do a half an hour, whatever you want. We'll come out and do it. We love doing it. We love educating. It's not like we're going to push anybody to come join our place or come, do 50 push-ups or anything like that. Or join Trimline. It is not about that. We want to educate, and just reach out to us and we will do it. So when you look at in a sense of muscle and muscle memory, and we talked about the ambidextrous kind of things, what other things can you suggest that people listening out there that they can do at home to either test their ability? Now, the average person, okay, like me, no, I'm just okay, and then or that they can do things to kind of get even better, whether it be muscle memory, anything like that.
Yeah, you got to test yourself where you're at. You can't compare. This is the problem. I think so many people want to compare themselves to somebody else, so then they don't start.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you want to do. Not what you want to do at all. You gotta start somewhere. And I always tell people, as you age, balance is one of them. So start with just standing on one leg. Can you hold it for 5-10 seconds? You'd be amazed how many people cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the place. Okay. Once you get that, and you should do that every day. I said, it's just like brushing your teeth. You should have a routine down, whether it's 10, 15, 20 minutes that you do every day. I have a routine of certain things that I do, 15 minutes, and then I have a different workout. But it's 15 minutes every day. And I tell people, I'm like, do you want to be better? Well, then why do you brush your teeth every day? Because you want your teeth to stay healthy. And I said, well, then the same thing has to go with the body. There's no difference. So come up with that. Start with balance. And then just do basic step-ups. Probably everybody in their house has some type of stairs, okay? Whether it's 1, 2, 3, whatever. Just step up on that step and then come back down. They're anywhere between 9 inches to 12 inches high, most of them, okay? Most steps of that height. And just step up, push up, and push down. But do 10 on one side, 10 on the other, and do 2 to 3 sets of them. And then just do a high plank. And a high plank is just get on your toes, put your arms fully extended, and hold it there. It's shoulder stability. It works the core. It works all kind of things. See how long you can hold it. I have a gentleman who had a stroke, and he started out with like 10 seconds. He's now up well over a minute.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because he keeps working.
Correct.
He keeps doing these things, and he goes, I feel stronger. Basic stuff, nothing crazy, just doing the most basic thing. Find the things around your house and then just start doing it. Like you said, can you open a jar?
Yeah.
Well, take a jar, maybe somebody slightly opened it, or don't put it on as tight, and then start working on it, and then keep making it tighter and tighter. And each day you keep working. You'd be amazed at how the human body adapts. And I tell everybody this: the human body knows one thing, and one thing only: survival.
Correct.
It knows how to survive.
Absolutely.
Off of that, there's 2 things that come from that. If you can get these 3 things down, people can live much longer. It's adaptation, how you adapt, whether to the climate, the weather, your surroundings, and healing. Your body is a constant healing. When you eat, it's healing. Whether it heals correctly or not is based on you.
What you put into your body.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So how you work out. But it's those 3 things: survival, heal, and adapt. You understand those three things, you can accomplish so many things, and you can live a healthy life to your 100, 120, 150.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're thinking about, oh, I mean, I know people who are like, you know what? I don't want to live much longer if this is how I'm going to feel. We are talking about having longevity with a good quality of life. Like, I don't want to live till I'm 90 and absolutely miserable and on 10 million medication, and I can't walk, I can't move, and I'm wheelchair bound, right? I don't want to live like that, right? So now again, I do want to live a long life. That I do love life. I'm very, I love people around me. I love being socializing, but so I want to live a long life with a good quality of life. And when you think about it, any suggestion that we're giving, you don't have to mound them all together and try to do them all. I mean, really, when you get up tomorrow morning, God given, obviously, right? Good Monday morning. When you get up and get out of bed, try to just stand on one foot for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Like, time yourself and see. Or do it later on in the afternoon. Whenever. If you're not a morning person, do it later on. But just start with that. And if you can't give yourself 5 or 10 seconds to just test to see where your balance is, then you really have to understand how much do you care about yourself and your body. I mean, how much do you care about yourself and your body? And that's what we're talking about. You being able to take care of yourself, because if you don't do it, nobody can. And when your body comes back and bites you with a vengeance, it's nobody's problem other than yours. So I would love for you to go to Nadia at my trim line, or go to Nadia Shree Feed, look it up on Facebook, or Dave Brexis, Brixius. Look that up, send us a friend request. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Happy Sunday to you, and I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And if you're just tuning in, because I don't know, maybe you're coming from church, right? And you're like, what's going on? What are they talking about? Well, we had 2 wonderful segments with Coach Brex here, and please say hello to the new listeners. I think this is time when some of them are done from church and they're just tuned in.
Yes. Yes. So it's Nadia. It's a pleasure to be on. I appreciate you having me again.
Thank you.
So awesome.
So we've been talking about, obviously, muscle mass. We're going to talk about bone density too, and doing things too for balance and growing older in a healthy manner. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be pumping iron. You don't have to be lean and fit in an ideal weight, or whatever ideal weight is to people. We were talking about you just doing tiny little things to better your life. Better your life, the quality of it, your mind, getting dementia, Alzheimer's. I mean, I know a lot of people that somebody in their family that's happening to. Like, my dad has a little bit of dementia right now. I can absolutely, he can remember, he'll tell me stories of when I was like 5 years old, or when he was himself 20 years old. But some of the recent stuff, dementia works that way, that let's say if we talked about something, I don't know, an hour before, he'll ask me the same question. But he is 92, right? But honestly, compared to that, he remembers, he does so well. Because he's been very active all his life, and even at 92, he still does little stretches and awesome. In the living room and things like that.
I love it.
I know I have to post that video up. I have a whole slew of people that love my dad and follow me on my Facebook. They're like, when next time you're gonna post your dad again? I'm like, I will. I promise I will. So, and then we're talking about your mind, right? So challenge your mind to be able to grow old. Healthier, but also for you, if you're not to lose your mind. Like, if they say you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah. And we talked about a couple of things that you can do, like opening up a jar and balance and standing on one leg. And I did it on the break, and it's not easy, to bend over, pick up your sock, put your sock on with one leg, and then bend over, pick up your shoes, put your shoes on with same leg, still the same leg, and doing it. And then you threw something interesting in there. You're like, do it with your eyes closed.
Really crazy. That's when you really take it to another level.
I know. I'm not going to try that. I'm going to try to get really good on the first one. But you don't have to try it either. You just have to try to do it with 5 seconds, okay? But one of my favorite things, I think, to build muscle, and I think it's really good for your body, is protein. What do you think about that?
100%. Phenomenal. Yeah, I think sometimes it gets a bad rap.
Yeah, it does.
Unfortunately, but it's so beneficial to the human body in so many different ways, and just building muscle. I mean, just the repair that it does to the body from the damage that we do every day to it. That's what I think people misinterpret. Your body breaks down, which is a good thing, okay? Because then it goes in, if you feed it right, and you know all about that, Nadia, if you feed it correctly, it should repair itself even better.
That's right.
When you put the stress on it. People think that working out breaks the body down. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get hurt. If you do something wrong, yes, you are going to get hurt, but the reward is if you do it correctly, somebody teaches you and you understand what to do, the reward is so much greater because you do something outside the realm of your everyday activities and you hurt yourself. And it could have been mitigated because you strength trained, you ate right, you did all the things. It's just incredible. But protein is one of the most important things that people have longed for to try to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're much better, more knowledgeable on this than I am. But it's so important, not just for the muscle, but so much for recovery.
I agree with you. And I'm a huge protein addict. I tell people this all the time. I absolutely love everything about protein. Now, a lot of animal protein, I do love it. And obviously there's, dairy-based protein like your yogurts and kefirs and cottage cheese or things like that. And you also have your plant-based, proteins that are out there, whether it be your shakes or protein powders and things like that. So there's many, many different forms of protein getting in. But I really, really love animal protein. And if you're out there, you're a vegetarian, vegan, which is fine. You absolutely have other proteins that you should very much consume into your daily routine. And if you are like, I do love animal protein, honestly, it's, I just did I was researching, and they said that, the whole killing your liver and your kidney, and that's just kind of coming out to be a little bit of a fallacy. So now again, you don't want to be doing, 16-ounce steaks every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you can absolutely probably be able to do that more often. And you said that you killed a deer, right?
Yes, I did.
I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could hunt and kill a deer, I would have it for breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. That's what I would do because that's how much I love protein. Now, again, the amounts are not that you're going to go crazy with it, but your vegetable, your fruit, your fat, your starch. That's a very balanced way of doing things. And one thing I think that activity really strengthens your bones, right? I think people think it's all about muscle,
mm-hmm.
but really it's a lot about your bone structure too.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, and your knowledge, obviously you've done so many this, how would that really help in a sense of not just muscle, but also the bone?
Like strengthening the bone?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bone strength is very, very key because we talked about earlier, when people fall, they break their hip.
Mm-hmm.
They break it because the bones start to become brittle because of lack of adding on stress to them. Like I said, stress is so important to the human body, and knowing how to clear that stress.
Oh, you mean like somebody like sitting around all the time, right? Or being very sedentary, and they all of a sudden do a movement,
Yes.
or they might have to
Yes.
walk very quickly or run to get a plane or whatever, and then that way they really end
do
up injuring themselves.
Yes, because their body is not accustomed to handle that stress. Now remember, walking is so much force going through the body. You add jogging in, that's even more force.
Mm-hmm.
Then you add sprinting, what people sometimes have to do because you're trying to get out of the way of something and stuff, and they can't handle it. It's because they haven't trained for it. And the whole object that I always try to tell people, never lose what you have.
Correct.
So if I'm young and I'm running around, don't lose that. I'm not saying you have to run every single day, but 2 to 3 times a week you should sprint. And I still say this, even when you're 70 and 80 years old, you should still be sprinting. And if you're not, you're doing damage to your body. And it's doing it massively because the human body was meant to do what? Sprint and walk extremely fast. That's exactly what it was designed for, because we were hunters and gatherers. We had to go after the food, or we had to get away from something. So we had to do these things. We've totally taken a whole different lifestyle and destroyed it. But through that process, if you think about sprinting, what does that do to the body and the bone? It strengthens. It's constantly strengthening. Now, most people say, well, it damages it. No, it doesn't. It damages it if you haven't done it for so long and then you try to jump back into quickly.
Like very fast.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're constantly doing it, it continues to strengthen the bone. And that's what we need to start looking at with a lot of older adults. It's not just strength training. It's also getting up,
agility.
Walking. Exactly. Walking, stepping off objects.
Oh, yeah.
So think about this. When I have to step off an object and I land, there's a lot of stress that has force that goes through my body.
Imbalance.
Exactly. All this stuff comes into play, and why would you not want to continue to do these things? Blows my mind, but it's so important that we do this.
I know so many people that took a step like off something and they totally shattered their, like, honestly, their leg. It looked pretty bad.
Yep.
I mean, I know 2 people, and I think that's too many as is, right? So, and when we're talking about sprinting and things like for me, like I'm pretty active, but like yesterday was it whatever day it was, they wanted us to run at the end of the class, right? And every time I really want to sprint really hard, I have to think about, am I going to hurt myself or not? And I don't know why I think that, because I'm not a runner, just so you know. I'm not, anybody out there running, it's not a problem. I just don't feel like running every day is good for me. I don't know, my joints, my knee, and maybe I don't even run right, who knows. But when we sprint at the end, it takes maybe, I'm going to tell you, honestly, if I had the time, maybe 7-8 seconds, right? You just sprint and then you sprint back. And to your ability, like there's people over there that were like considerably overweight, older, younger, all types of people were there, men, women, and we're just kind of, everybody was sprinting in their own comfort, right? And whether it was slow or not, they were at least doing it. I think that was the greatest part. We're all cheering each other in a sense of whether you're doing it. Just this is about you learning to do some sort of movement, and then understand when you're stepping up or down from something, how's your balance when you do it? And what I said to you on the break, I'm like, as much as I am really, I really just want to age well. That's like one of my most favorite, like in my mind, that's like, I want to age well, I want to look well, I want to look good, I should say. I want to be able to not be on any medication, I want to be full of energy. Like that's something that's extremely important to me. But I went through menopause really early. And I said, you men, we women do not like you for many, many reasons. But one of them is the fact that you don't have to go through menopause. Because I went when I was early, so I got my bone density done. And they're like, my bone density is amazing everywhere except my left hip, that they said there's a tiny little osteopenia. And let me tell you something, that burns me. I am so upset about that, because I'm like, I do so much, but menopause, unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. So the reason I'm sharing that with you, there are certain things that are out of our hands, but there are so many other things that are in our hands to do. And we were talking about things that you can do at home to be able to strengthen your body, strengthen your mind, your muscle, and your bone. And we're going to come back and really tell you some great things that you can do. And we talked about also, if you want to have us to do seminars, or come to your business, home, salon, anywhere. We are actually going to set a bunch of them up in the next month, 2 months already. So you can go to, obviously Dave Brixis, Brixius, his Facebook, send him a friend request. Mine is Nadia Sharifi, or you can email me at nadia@mytrimline.com. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Hello, welcome back, and thank you so much for listening. If you're tuning in, you tune in by segment, you know that I have the wonderful Coach Brex here. Thank you so much for coming. And you train Tom Russell, you train one of my favorite people in the world, which is Pastor Dave, and he's so wonderful. And you know him for a long time, don't you?
Yes. Good guy, very good guy.
What a good man. He's just absolutely fantastic. Shout out to him. So that's but now we're talking about obviously growing older, our muscle strength, our bone density, and trying to really age gracefully in a sense of in our body. Like I always tell people, we live in our body and we live in our mind. And I think one thing that you really like to stress over, which I think it's important, it's like your mind really controls more than what your body allows, right?
Yeah, your mind stops everything. So most people say, hey, I'm not flexible. So I'm just going to use an example. Yes. You're not flexible. Okay. You are flexible. You know what stops you is your nervous system and your mind. Why? Because if you went under general anesthesia, the doctor could take that leg and move it any which way, and there's no stopping it. So it's not a muscle thing per se. It's a neurological thing that you have to learn how to control it and actually work on it. Everybody goes through these stretching, classes and takes it. That's not the issue. You have to learn how to work your nerves and actually control the nerves, but then also control the mind. It's amazing how we have so many things that we try to take an easier step for, by doing nothing. Then you take the next easier step, well, I'm just going to stretch. Where the hard part is combining the mind with the body, which most people never do. The people who do are phenomenal. They're the ones who do, we call them freaks. They're not freaks. So what all of us could do. So a person I was just watching was a guy named David Goggins. I know most people know David Goggins. He just finished a 240-mile run in Moab. It's considered the hardest run out there. Jeez. He just went a week later or 2 weeks later down to Florida to do another 200-mile run.
My goodness, I can't even imagine.
It's just crazy. But everybody says, well, that's humanly impossible. No, his mind is on a whole different level. And he learned how to control his mind, which then controls the body.
See, and that's a great point, because even let's say, I know people that go to physical therapy, right? And, when they had a knee surgery, whatever surgery they've had, and the therapist pushes their, leg beyond to bending or whatever you're doing. It goes beyond, let's say, if the person themselves would actually do it, right? Like, I would not push my arm to a point where I'm going to scream, And I probably can't do it, right? I don't know if I could or couldn't. Thank God I don't have any injuries, but I think you've done that before as a physical therapist a long time ago. You take the leg back to a point where the person's screaming, but they're still doing it, right? Or until they tell you to stop. But I think our ability of pain, right? And that's just normal. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, if we're in pain, we're going to stop doing what we're supposed to be doing. And they tell you if you work out and you're in pain, you should stop working out if you're in pain. But there's different pains involved, right? There's you're about to injure yourself, and then there's this pain that you're pushing yourself further to grow. And those are two totally different things. And you know, when we're talking about doing these stuff, if you're like, oh God, all of this sounds like crazy to me, we're not talking about it. Just a level 1. You know, I always say people, don't worry about step 2. If you can't even take step 1. Like, don't worry about step 2, 3, and 4. You know, I tell people, give me a call and get 15-minute information from me. Don't go, well, then she wants me to join, then I have to change my life, then I have to cut this out, then I have to go do this. I said, why? That's your mind totally like Xing everything, and all you really had to do was just talk to me on the phone for 15 minutes. Like, if you can't, like, that's the ability of, as far as I want you to go, is book an appointment, talk to me on the phone for 15 minutes. But what does our mind do? Our mind sabotages us. Oh, well, then I can't eat this. Then Christmas is coming. Forget my cookie. Forget eggnog. No, and none of that exists. Like, that doesn't even exist. Take step 1. So when we look at aging, what do you think, like, the first step with somebody that's not an athlete, someone doesn't do anything, in your mind, what would be step 1 and 2 that they can actually take that first step to be like, hey, can I test myself to see where I am? Or what's the next one step that I can see for me to get better?
Yeah, I think number 1 thing is walk. I think it's the easiest thing.
Yes.
It's the one thing that the human body, how we were designed, has to do. It has to do it. And it has to do a lot of it. That's the problem. I think I spoke on this the last time. The average step count, now I'm not a huge step guy, but I'm just going off what so everybody can imagine this, is about 4,000 to 5,000 steps that the average person takes now. Okay? That's not that much. Okay,
well,
that is not that much.
Everybody wants to hit that 10,000 step.
Yes.
That was the pivotal number for what I remember.
Correct. Most people never get there. Most people don't even get close to that. Okay, they have to actually work to get there. You go back probably 60, 70, 80 years ago, 12 to 15,000 was the average.
Oh.
Now look at the difference in just
huge.
70 years. So the first thing you should do is, okay, if you have one of those pedometers or whatever you call them, go out there and start stepping. Okay, see how much you get, or go mileage wise. Figure out a mile and say, I'm going to go out a half mile. Then increase that after about a week or 2. All right, I'm going to go 3/4 of a mile, and then a mile. Just start there. Start as basic as you can. And even here's even more. You really want to challenge yourself? Go out in this weather.
Yeah, it's actually good for you, believe it or not.
Go out here in the cold, because not only is it going to work your physical, now the mind comes into play. I do all my workouts outside in the winter, and people say, you're nuts. Why are you doing it? Because it trains my mind to be something different. And plus, like you said, it's phenomenal. Outside is just so different. Just so different.
Well,
I feel always so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I came to your place a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, time goes by in my head so quickly. But I'm like, where's is there a heater around here in the wintertime? And then you're like, nope, there's no. If it gets really, really cold, you close the door. So I'm like, good Lord, you're going to have to close the door. We women get cold. But then again, menopause makes you hot. So we're all over the place again. It always comes down to that. So I think with the walking, I always tell people walking is underrated.
Yes.
It's absolutely. And people are like, oh, it could be boring. I'm like, I don't get how you think something is boring, but sitting on your couch for an hour and a half, 2 hours watching binging shows is not boring.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, there's that whole saying that goes, I don't know, like being active is hard, but being, having a stroke is harder, right? It's like pick your hard, right? So they're always, and I think that's really where we need to start thinking. Like, what's our hard?
Yes.
And when I came out to your place, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do some stuff outside, because I really don't like to be really, really cold and work out, but then I get really hot and sweaty. So, I mean, I'm going to challenge myself to work outside a little bit more, because I work inside more, like, a lot of gyms and things like that. That's what I do more inside. So walking is the key. In the weather, you're like, oh, it's cold. Bundle up. Get some air. You can, there's coats, you have earmuffs, there's like gloves that you could do, and start off for 15 minutes. I think that is good enough, right?
Yeah.
And just go from, and you getting up from your couch to go to the bathroom, Okay, that is, I'm sorry, but that is, I mean, it is movement, don't get me wrong, that you're going to take a break on whatever to watch your show. It's better than nothing, but you got to go beyond that,
Yes.
right? I think that's really the key.
Huge. And I like that 15 minutes. And then what you do is you see how far you went.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next time, maybe you still go 15 minutes, but you pick the pace up. Now I got a little bit further this time.
Yes.
And that's the whole key, is just taking it at your pace, okay? Gradually increasing it each and every single time. Are you going to be sore? There's a possibility you're going to be sore. But guess what? It's a great soreness. It means you're still alive. It means you're still being able to do the things that you should be able to do. And as you continue to do them, they're going to get easier. There's that commercial, I don't know if you saw it. It's that old guy who tries to pick up a kettlebell, and all these people are watching him.
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
It was for one reason. It was for
I
his
remember it.
grandchild.
Yes, he wanted to pick up his grandchild.
That's it. Now
Yeah.
imagine if you're an adult. Why wouldn't you want to go play with your grandkids?
I know, and pick up your grandchildren.
Why? Why
And
do
I
you
think
want
he
to
was
be
like
sitting
70 something, and they showed him, it was as
And
a
he kept
heavy
training
kind
for
of correct, and he finally was able to pick it up, and then they showed him, picking up his grandson or granddaughter,
Yeah.
Which that's like the most amazing thing in the world. If you're not going to, which I always feel sad saying this, if you don't want to take care of yourself for yourself, which I truly believe that should be the number one
thing.
reason. Do it for your children, your grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for your loved ones, whoever your loved ones is that, right? Like I think my dad does it because he knows, like he's 92 and he's like, oh, I always tell him, I say, you're so awesome. You're like the most amazing man in the world. You're such a good looking man. He goes, well, I don't know about that. Okay. And I say, I want you to live till you're 100 years old. He goes, well, I don't know about that. I'm like, no, but I want you to think it. I want you to think it. And I think he does that because he knows that we love him so much and he takes care of himself on top of it. So if you're not going to do it for yourself, which I hope you do, because I really want you to find yourself to be important to do that for yourself, do it for your loved ones. Be active, your mind, body, and honestly, your soul, right?
Yes.
Don't you say like there's
Huge.
three things? You always
Spirit,
say that.
Mind, body.
Spirit, mind, and body. So you've been tuning in, and Coach Brex and I are going to be together for a long time in a sense of teaching and educating. You can go to mytrimline.com, book a 15-minute conversation with me, or find out about how him and I can come anywhere you are and just do 20 minutes, half an hour, half a day, whatever you want of educating. And we love to have fun. We want to make it fun, so this will never be boring whatsoever. Right, Coach Brex?
You got it.
So thank you again for coming.
No,
I want
thank
everybody out there to enjoy your Sunday. So go to send a friend request to Dave Bragg, Brixius, and to Nadia Sharifi on Facebook. We'll get to Instagram soon. We're older people, okay? So thank you so much for always listening in. Again, go to mytrimline.com and book that free chat. Have a great Sunday. Wow, that's a good one.